Rick, Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming all this way.
Oh my gosh,
All
Florida
the way
to
to
California, we made it happen.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I'm impressed.
I'm
I'm
so
really
excited
impressed.
about this. This is an interview I've been looking forward to for so long. And I had my fiance Jason who kind of ripped me a little bit because when we were talking, I was like, Kelly, you're one of the most controversial housewives. He's like, stop telling her that. And I was like, no, this is straight to the point. Kelly knows.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, she does.
I know.
So we have a lot of questions.
Okay, good.
All right.
I'm happy to answer all of your questions.
Before we jump into those, I did want to ask both of you, because last time we saw you was on season 15 of The Real Housewives of Orange County. We got married. We're moving in together. Rick, you came from New York.
Yep.
And started working in Los Angeles.
I did.
So how have you been?
Busy.
Busy. Rick thinks he's busier now than when he was working.
When I was at Fox, yeah, I'm way busier because, we're doing a lot of shows every week, 7-8 shows a week on YouTube and on Patreon.com, Rick and Kelly Show and the Daily Smash. And we're back and forth every week to the desert house that we're remodeling in Palm Desert. It's a lot.
That's pickleball pool party?
Pickleball party town.
Party town.
Yeah, pickleball party town.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And we really have transformed this house from a dump
Yeah.
to an incredible high-end resort. It's beautiful. And we're going to start renting it out, and we're going to start selling pickleball paddles and balls and clothing down the line. And
Newport Beach, Orange County is very apparel-driven. Like we have Ruka, Billabong. I think you're wearing a Ruka shirt. My friend started that, Pat Tenori, and he sold it for millions and millions of dollars to Billabong. And they're like, we have Volcom.
Yeah.
Volcom's here. Big, huge apparel industry here in Orange County. So
we think there's an opening for cool pickleball clothing.
Apparel.
Yeah.
So we're doing merch. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not merch. I'm going to be doing like, because there's not really
real apparel,
outlets.
not
Oh,
just-
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Where
there's
would you
going to
play?
be, there's not really a pickleball apparel line. You know what I mean? Like a set one.
There will be.
There's
as soon
like
as this is-
tennis. Like people wear whatever they want.
I feel like your mind is always going business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're busy.
Yeah.
But we built our own pickleball court in the backyard of our house in the desert, and so
It's a passion, you know?
Right.
So you want to stick with your passions.
yeah.
Okay, so fun fact. And
Yeah.
I did want to ask too, since you've left Fox News, right? And we started the Rick and Kelly show, how is that different?
Well, it's really different for me. Like Kelly's always spoken her mind. She had the freedom to do that. I was a news reporter, so I had to keep it, to the facts when I was reporting stories. And when I wasn't reporting stories, I couldn't share my personal opinion because you're not supposed to have one.
Right.
And Fox was very adamant about us being careful on social media, not saying anything controversial, not doing anything controversial. Now all of a sudden I can say whatever I want. It's so liberating. And people are like, oh, you were a serious news reporter and now you're reporting on covering housewives. How embarrassing. I'm like, embarrassed? I'm having the time of my life.
Right.
It's fun. I get to work with my wife every day and do stuff that's it's not a terror attack. It's not a mass murder. It's not a war. It's not a hurricane. I can relax and I kind of have fun with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, there was this rumor, and I did want to see if you could kind of address this a little bit. There was a rumor that you actually were removed from Fox because of how controversial your wife is. You married Kelly Dodd, and then Kelly says whatever she wants on the show, social media. You really kind of just say whatever you want anywhere.
I say whatever I want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
say whatever you want.
It does
Listen,
get me in trouble.
I definitely got a couple of phone calls like, hey, can you tell your wife to stop saying X, Y, or Z? And I was, no.
Well, I don't think people think that you got fired. So I think this is the time to clarify exactly what happened.
I was on my 8th contract, 8 3-year deals, okay? And I forced my move to California because I wanted to be with Kelly. I had to be with her. So I forced a move from New York. They didn't want me to leave New York. And when I got to LA, there were 7 other reporters in there, including a guy who was as senior as I was and was probably making as much or more. And I was one of the highest paid guys there, reporters there. So there was only really room, I think, for 2 of us in that bureau. And Trace, the other guy, was up for a job in New York, an anchor job. And if he had gotten that job, I think Fox absolutely would have just asked me, hey, do you want to do the primetime shift and be a fill-in anchor in LA? And I would have said, yeah. But Trace didn't get the gig. So he was still there. And they had, 6, 7 other people who were making money reporting from there. And I had just sort of pushed my way in. Like, this guy's making a lot of money. you know, like, do we really need it? And so basically, I kind of hastened my exit from the network by forcing a move to California. If I stayed in New York, I probably would still be on the air.
But your contract was up.
My deal was up. And the truth is, I was sick of having to run out the door every time there was a major incident, or they needed me at the border, or they needed me at a plane crash.
Like Ukraine happened. They would have shipped him off to Ukraine.
Yeah, and I could have been killed. One of my colleagues was badly wounded, and a cameraman was killed who I worked with many times. Awesome guy. Killed covering the war. And they would have asked me to go, and I said, Kelly, what would you have said if they sent me to Ukraine? She goes, I would have told you to quit.
Yeah.
So
because something bad happened to his Fox coworkers.
Yeah.
One got blown up, and then the other one got killed. Like, that would have been him. So, you know, it was a divine intervention that they didn't renew his contract, to be quite honest.
It could have saved my life.
Yeah, it totally saved your life, because that guy got blown up and the other guy died. And you would have been with those guys.
And, you know, 24 years, I was a reporter for 35 years, 24 of them at Fox. And it takes a toll on you. Right. You know, when you're always on call and you have to drop everything to go race out the door for days or weeks or even months at a time, it's grueling, and it takes a toll on your family, and it's just.
And he's 62 years old.
Like, he's not.
It wasn't. He was done with it, to be quite honest.
As a colleague of a former boss of mine told me after I left, he goes, "You've been rained on enough. You don't need to be a reporter out in the field anymore. You've been rained on enough."
We will segue into the Rick and Kelly show, and honestly, too, people don't realize you can, especially when you do YouTube and podcasts, if you have that audience, which you both do, then you can make a lot of money. It's like not when people are like, "Oh, you're talking about housewives," so they're scoffing. I'm like, "What are you doing?" So,
well, yeah, they're scoffing, but they don't understand how much money
you can make. I don't think we're making as much as you are yet, but we just started this thing like 8 months ago, like in earnest, and we're up to almost 25,000 subscribers in 8 months, and we're gaining thousands by the month. So we're very.
We get the nicest comments on YouTube.
Yeah, 99%.
It's just such a nice platform. It is and it isn't. Like, it's a nice platform because the people that watch us genuinely like me. You know what I mean? Where if I'm on like Twitter, it's all a bunch of trolls, or even Instagram is like, it feels like there's like bots coming after me, but everybody that follows me or watches me on YouTube just has the nicest comments. It's really nice.
Which is kind of bringing me to my next point too. You have a lot of people, and Rick, you know this, you have a lot of people who slam you so hard for things that you say. I mean, you've had so many, statements that you've had to apologize for, right? Yeah. For example,
which one?
I can't say it because of the algorithm, but the pandemic is God's way of thinning the herd, and then you got in trouble.
Well, so let me talk about that.
Okay.
Can I talk about that? Because Megan said, we're talking about that.
Megan King, who's staying with us.
She's like, well, you can't say that, even though it's totally true.
Yeah.
She's like, but you can't say that. I'm like, why can't I say that? That is, it was mostly the older people that died, or somebody who had comorbidities or whatever.
Not just old, but sick.
They were already
90+% of the deaths were people who had multiple comorbidities. They were already dying. And they were, most of them, elderly.
Most. We're not saying all. I mean, there was like probably a 40 or whatever, but the thing of it is, it hit the elderly population first, right? So, in my mind, somebody said it's Darwin, because when you hit an elderly age, you're not, you're taking up resources. The government has Social Security, that they have to take care of. One of my friends in China, when I lived there, she said it was population control, that you're getting, because when you're older, you're not making any money for society. Your bills, medical bills, you're kind of a leech to society and that's not
a leech, but maybe a drain.
Like a drain.
You're taxing.
We're all
not to say that everyone who's old should die. That's not what Kelly's saying at all.
No.
Just that that's who was dying.
Right.
So like Darwin, right? Like God's it's like survival of the fittest. It's been here since the dawn of man. Somebody on my Instagram, I didn't say it was on my Instagram, and somebody was like, "You're killing people," and blah 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 blah. So I said it was God's way of thinning the herd, because when I saw them, It was like sick people. They were like
The-
heavy, overweight.
I mean, that's all true. The problem is
You can't say
you
it.
can't say certain things out loud, and Kelly did. And maybe people were thinking it, but everyone was shocked. How could you possibly say that out loud? But what she said really isn't that controversial when you break it down to as she just did.
But I wasn't
Every 100,
killing
200
anybody.
years, there's a plague. There's something that wipes out a big chunk of the population. Just look at history over the last 1,000 years.
There's a Spanish
I
flu.
think that's what I was going to say too about you, is that you have, when we talk about some of these moments that you go on social media or you say something, you have a lot of people that Rick just made a great point. People who agree with you, who are afraid to say that, and then people who obviously would never say that, and they're like, no, I absolutely don't agree with you. But that is kind of, you know,
But it happens. There is something where it happens at the dawn of day. There was a Spanish flu. There's plagues. Every 100 years, there's some kind of virus that wipes out some kind of a population.
Can I just say,
That
Kelly?
it didn't mean to like hurt anybody. I wasn't like stealing from people. I was just saying what has happened since the dawn of day of mankind. Like, this is what happens. And it wasn't like I was stealing from people. I wasn't, cheating the government. It's like, why are people such snowflakes? Like, why are people so sensitive? Like, what you can't say, what is actually the truth?
Well, what I wanted to say was that Kelly has always been, I think, the most real of the housewives. She doesn't really have a filter. So sometimes she'll say things, I'll be like, wow, I can't believe you just said that out loud. But it makes so much sense. Like, everything she says makes sense. And I don't think she meant any harm. Of course, every loved one who dies, that's horrible for the family. And nobody wants to lose anyone. But Kelly always says, we're all going to die, right? It's a certainty we're all going to die. So she's just...
And then
she's keeping it real.
And then you get these people that go, well, I know someone that died of COVID. Well, I know somebody that died in a car accident. I know people that, does that mean I'm not going to go drive my car? Like, I know people that have died from many things. Does that mean that I'm going to be scared? Like, I know people that died of sushi from getting a bacterial infection. Am I going to stop eating sushi? It's like, it's things like that where you're like, okay, why are people so sensitive? Why can't you, say the truth?
I'll add this. If she had said what she said then now, I don't think there would have been anywhere near the uproar, because everyone sort of changed their opinion but this was in the very early days of the pandemic. So it was too soon in the eyes of most people.
But I'm saying, why am I getting
because you were the only one willing to say it out loud.
Yeah.
That's it.
So another comment that you made, and obviously we know that you had to talk about this after, when you were asked on the Real Housewives of Orange County season 15 reunion, you were talking and you said, I am a black woman.
I'm black!
That's what you said.
She said I'm black.
I'm black! Yes.
So how do
I'm
you...
6% black.
Based on...
23andMe.
23andMe.
Okay.
Dude, she's a rainbow.
I'm 30% Native American. 30%.
She's got Asian.
My grandma was from the Navajo country. And people are like, oh, well, do you live on a reservation? Did your family live... My grandma lived in a cattle ranch right next to a reservation. She married a Spaniard, my grandma.
Right.
My great grandma. Not my grandma, my great grandma. And so I'm 30% Native American.
But can I just say, Kelly does not identify as a black woman.
What
That
do
was
you
during an
identify as?
8-hour
Mexican.
Mexican, but that was during an 8-hour reunion, right?
But Andy Cohen said, do you identify as an African American woman? I go, no, I absolutely don't.
But they didn't include that.
Yes,
in the
they
edit.
did.
Oh, they did?
They did.
Yeah.
I said, I don't. See, people want to believe what they want to hear and they want to get mad, okay? So I have 6% African American in my 23andMe. I've dated black guys. I have a lot of black friends. I don't know where this racist bullcrap comes from. It's from Broadway, okay? So, and then it happened at the Nice Guy when I was talking to a black guy, and I was married at the time, and TMZ caught me, and that's when I buckled up because I was flirting with the black guy when I was married, okay? So that was a whole other story. So it made it look like I was racist because they caught me, and they're like, oh, do you like black guys? Why would they say that? They saw me flirting with the black guy in there. I was married at the time. And so when I said, no, I don't even know any black people, they turned that around and it made it look like I was racist because I said, I don't date black guys. which I have because I dated Eric Gordon from the Houston Rockets.
But not
no one
anymore.
knows that. No, not anymore. But back then, but no one knows that. But anyway, so when I said like when people were saying I'm black, I'm like I'm a rainbow of things. Like I'm not racist. I'm Mexican. I have Asian. I have a Native American. I'm from Spain, my family, and I have 6% black, which most people do have African American in them. He's 99% Ashkenazi Jew.
99.9% Ashkenazi,
Yeah.
probably 100%.
But most of the people from Spain, they have a lot of African in them. Like it just because Spain's right. Africa is right by Spain, right there.
When Kelly yelled, "I'm black," I think what she was trying to say was, "I have black in me.
Right.
Who are you to come after me? Because the people who are coming after her are full white, 100% white, and she grew up Mexican and Native American and has other blood in her. So like she is a rainbow."
But when Andy Cohen said, "Do you identify as a black person?" I said, "No, I don't." Because I don't.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, what I meant was, I have all that in me. Who are you, who's completely white, is to say I don't understand what racism is?
Right.
Because I do. Because I'm Mexican and I grew up with all blonde hair and blue eyes, and I was not. I didn't fit into that. So I know what it's
You've
like.
experienced it.
I know. I've experienced it, just like you have, being Jewish.
Yeah.
So I want to move on a little bit from this topic because there's another, and this is probably really sensitive, but we know that your daughter, Jolie, lives with you right here. Mm-hmm. And then, Rick, we've seen with your daughter a little bit on social media, some back and forths with you and...
Yeah, you stuck up for her.
Yeah. So
on your show, you stuck up for Veronica because I don't think you knew exactly what went down behind the scenes with her.
Well, to be fair, I've had a few stepmoms, and I had one that, and I explained to you on the phone, one that like terrorized me.
Right.
And she did it for a sport. And
okay, but this girl's 32 years old.
Right. So and
she's not a child.
I don't also want to like create a bigger rift or anything, but I am curious, are there moments like where you wish that we could have that happy family and everyone's together, or you just
that's all we've ever wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were things that she was doing, and it didn't start with Kelly. It started before Kelly. Okay, we were butting heads for years.
Okay.
And
your friends, like Teddy and all of them, they've seen the way she has treated him.
But again, I don't want to air a bunch of family laundry.
But we do want it to be.
But just so you know, this didn't start with Kelly. Okay. And I think what happened with Kelly was that the two of us were on the same page, and so she may have tried to manipulate the situation. I was like, no, you can't act like that. So again, like there were a lot of things that, and all I asked for was an apology. That's all I asked for.
Let me just start off, okay?
No, I don't want to detail the things that happened.
Huh?
I don't want to go down that road. Okay. I just don't want to do it.
No, of course, but we do want to
because
eventually.
To your point, I do want a relationship with her. Of course I do. She's my only biological child. I love her, and I want us to be close, and I hope that we will be again soon.
Of course. Okay.
Well, you have an adopted daughter. He didn't mean it like that because he loves his adopted daughter.
Of course.
Yeah.
And she's African American. So when you get these people that go, you're a white supremacist. First of all, these people are just idiotic because he's Jewish, I'm Mexican, and he adopted a black baby, and she's beautiful and she's gorgeous, and we love her, and we love Shoshana. And so for people to say that, they don't even know what they're talking about.
Well, that's
they just like
a lot of
frustrated with.
Yeah, there's a lot of
idiots
idiots.
Who just say the stupidest thing to try and mess with you.
But the thing of it is like, why does Bravo listen to that minutia of bullcrap?
Well, I have a great question for you, and I'll get into that in a second too, because it's comparing, how Bravo responds with things that might be controversial on, social media, but then also there are other housewives who have been arrested and charged, and they still stay on the show. So we'll get into that in a second. But I did want to ask you too, Rick. Do you find sometimes that you have yourself like having to defend what Kelly says? Like, do you find yourself defending a lot of
Yeah, I
things
think
that come out?
what I often find myself doing is helping her explain how
Okay.
she feels about something. You know, I'm a good writer, so a lot of times she'll say, "Hey, how do I respond to this?" And I'll be like, "Well," and I'll take her words and I'll refine them, or I'll just, you know, right?
But he also is his parents are from they're psychologists, they're doctors, and he has picked up that ability to speak and to talk to people in a way that like a therapist would. So where I'm like, oh, go F off, you know, like
Yeah.
so I kind of stop and I'm like, hey, how do I respond to this in a nice, intelligent manner where I just go off the cuff and just say the stupidest things.
Right. And I try to, I encourage her to take a breath when she gets attacked, because Kelly is a fighter. You come after her, her instinct is to swing back harder. And so I try to
Not this, Kelly.
be a calming influence and help her to redirect that anger and be more positive in her approach, or humorous, sarcastic, but not to get into a name calling situation. So that's sort of what we're working on, you know, and listen, we are a team.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I try to help her with that. And do I defend her? Of course I defend her. She's my wife. But I love her. But people don't understand her and they misjudge her all the time.
You know, I do have to kind of add to this too. You on the show and you on social media has been a completely different experience than us. You know, thank you for welcoming us into your home. But then this whole interaction of coming in here, and I can see a lot of moments where you are very misunderstood and you're like, I enjoy people. I like being around people. I can see there's a totally different side. And
she's terrific. She's a great hostess. She's very thoughtful. She's very generous. And she's a good friend. She has more friends than anyone I ever met in my life, Adam. This woman knows everyone, and everyone wants to be her friend. So who all these critics are, I don't know, because they have disappeared into the shadows. Anytime we go anywhere, even Home Depot or Costco, they're chasing her down the aisle to say hello and get a picture. It happens every day wherever we go.
It does.
you're like,
She's so totally cool about it. She won't have any makeup on, wearing a baseball cap, and she takes photos every day.
Yeah.
all right, so I want to kind of, now that I got to ask you about some of those things, I want to ask you a little bit about Real Housewives of Orange County. Since we're not on the show, right? What do you think about the show since you've left? Because we saw season 16. Now they're filming season 17. I know you have some inside info over here, but how do you feel about the show since you've left?
Well, I think it was, I felt like I was attacked, okay, by Bravo and Andy Cohen. He said, we're going to revamp. We're going to do a reboot. And he, when he did that, he's like, you're losing followers. I wasn't losing any followers. I mean, I am now, but I wasn't losing any followers then. And he's like, people are writing to me saying that you're this and this and this and this and that. Are you going to be, you know, completely, you know,
They try to blame her.
They try to blame me
for any issues the show has had.
So
they were still getting over 1 million viewers every week.
Okay, and that's the thing. Like, we only shot that season for 5 weeks. A normal season is 3 months. So, you know, it's like a whole semester of school is when we're filming, okay?
Right.
We only got 5 weeks and we filmed ourselves. I thought I did a pretty good job on that because everyone else had COVID and I was going, like, I wasn't scared of it because I just wasn't afraid of it and everybody else was. So they deemed me as being irresponsible. They deemed me as leaving my kid when that wasn't at all the case, like at all. Like they try to paint me to look like I was evil.
His question was, what do you think of the show since you left?
Oh, so what I'm saying that they deemed me as being an evil person, right? Like I was a villain. I was the worst possible person on earth. And I was bringing the whole branch. And Andy Cohen said to me, and he called me too, and he said, it was your time on the show as on camera was good. It's your social media that made you look bad, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, maybe I should have hired somebody to do my social media like everybody else does.
Well,
like,
apparently
maybe
everyone
I
who
should
is
have.
a social media man.
Yeah, they do. They do it. Yeah.
Right.
In hindsight, I probably should have hired somebody to just do my social media because I don't really like it anyway.
Right.
So like I should have done that. But hiring Heather, who is the most boring, plain, awful, egotistical, just the worst person on earth, and you can ask Jeff Lewis. It is, and then she put 2 cease and desists on me, and she told all my friends around town that she was going to clean out my bank account. No, Terry said that. So, do I think it's boring? Yeah, I'd rather watch paint dry. And you know what? I don't care what Andy Cohen says. It's the delayed numbers. It's not just the delayed numbers, because he tried to spin it. He tried to spin it.
They had 5 of the worst rated shows in the history of the franchise. They kept breaking their own record last season with the worst rated show in the history of Orange County. And then the next week would be even worse. And maybe one week would bounce up a little bit. Look it up. It's 5 times they were in like the thing in the 7s.
In the 700s.
Setting
Never
records.
when I was on the show. Never
Always
when I was
over
on
a
the show. It
million.
was always over a
I think
million.
one time last season, her last season, it was under a million. It was at 980 or something.
Yeah.
And now they only had more than a million, I think, once that whole season. The show sucked without Kelly. Okay, that's my opinion.
I think, and I like Emily. I do. I like her, but she's not TV. She's not TV material. She's not. I like her. I think she's smart. I think she's great, but a lot of it's fake.
What about Gina?
I think she's the worst. I think she's the worst casted. Worst. I don't think there's anything entertaining about her. Her boyfriend's a dud. Her house is a dud. She doesn't have multiple houses. She doesn't have. She's trying to do some fake skincare line, which is bullshit. It's like she dresses like crap. Her posture is horrible. Like, nobody wants to watch that. That's not something that, you know, she doesn't have really a good body. There's nothing to her that you want to aspire to be.
What about Shannon Bedore? Do you like her on TV?
I think she's entertaining, yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? Shannon Bedore has a lot of ideas. She's in there. She knows to throw a party.
She's good at her job.
She's good at her job.
And we like Shannon. We hang out with her.
Yeah, no, but I think she's entertaining. Like, she's funny.
Right.
Gina's not funny.
Gina was making up stuff all last season,
Shannon,
making up fights, like just creating nonsense.
Shannon's smart. Gina's dumb. Like, there's just, Shannon knows how to dress. Gina doesn't know how to dress. Shannon's worldly. Gina isn't worldly. Like, it's just, I don't understand or get why Gina is on the show. I just don't understand it.
And do you, at this point, would you consider yourself, like, in the Bravo universe, would you consider yourself canceled?
Yes. I was canceled. Yes. And everybody else says it. Everybody who's my fan knows I was canceled. I was canceled. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But she still gets written about almost every day.
I never see Gina. I wake up every morning to a bunch of Google alerts. And it's mainly from the left wing stream media, like Bustle, The Heavy,
Monsters and
Critics,
Reality Blur.
Yeah.
Do you think part of this has to do, because I'm just wondering to pick your brain on this, do you think part of this has to do with your political beliefs?
I'm sure, of course. But I'm also a person who grew up Democrat. My parents were both Democrat. And I would consider myself moderate. Okay, I'm not I don't like the far right. I think they're with the conspiracy theories crazy, and I don't like the far left that are. And you see it, like if you see people that are still wearing masks outside, you know that they probably voted for Biden. Like it's those kinds of people that you just kind of know because they're scared and they listen and they're not really independent thinkers. Where, you know, you see people who are like us or who are independent thinkers and are not scared and I've lived in a communist country. I know what happens. So I'm not a far right wing, but I think that I'm more like have everything. I'm more about being this. I want not communism where I want everybody to be the same, but I think things are so unfair to especially like us that who are hardworking, that, you know, we get taxed to death, where people, I think that we should have a flat tax.
Yeah.
I think that everything would be fair. I believe in having fairness. That's all.
I do too. And people think, oh, because I worked at Fox News, I must be super conservative. I also grew up in a very liberal household. And I did grow more conservative as I got older. And working at Fox did open my eyes to some stuff. But like Kelly, I'm socially liberal,
Yeah.
fiscally conservative, socially liberal. And I think we're just, we're smart enough to see through the BS. And that's what apparently has gotten Kelly in trouble.
But there's also a mindset. Like his daughter considers herself a communist. That's what she says. And when that whole thing came out, she was screaming, crying, everyone's dying. And I'm like, here, calm down. Like nothing is going to happen to you. You're healthy. You're young. Nothing. But it was like, it was that. But then she would go protest and take the mask off. It was like things like were just so hypocritical at that time.
Even if they were wearing masks, if they're shoulder to shoulder in a crowd of 10,000 people in the street, I mean, you're going to get sick from the guy next to you. That's going to happen. But it wasn't okay to go to a rally, but it was okay to go and march down the street with thousands of people. And it was a double standard. And there's been a lot of hypocrisy from day one. And so, again, Kelly calls it out.
I call it out.
And she gets in trouble
and I get in trouble for it. Because, listen, the people that are watching Bravo, people don't realize there's a lot of people that, I mean, obviously, that I get tons and tons of DMs. They said there was a boycott on me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that think there's 77 million people that think like I do. I mean, I'm not far like crazy right or anything like that, but there's a lot of people that think like I do, and they're completely turned off, and that's why the numbers went down to 700,000. I don't think Bravo knows their audience per se. They think it's all like far left, woke, liberal agenda.
And they cater
to that. But there's also 77 million people.
Half the country
thinks like I do.
Necessarily think
and getting politics involved, because that was Thomas Kelly who said that Heather was diabolical. Our producer. He's the one who's a progressive left that was all about Bronwyn. And that Bronwyn, I don't even think she even knows what the heck she's talking about. The girl she doesn't even have a bachelor's degree. She's not worldly. She's had kids since she was 19 years old. She's not particularly bright, but it's that agenda that he wanted and his darling, and he made me look like I was like a whack job, right?
They tried to paint you into that corner.
You think that was part of the behind the scenes too, like with production?
Of course, yes, because I was
to meet that agenda.
Yeah. I'm all for equality. Okay, I'm all for equality. I think that the Black Lives Matter thing that's great. We should help any kind of community that's like suffering, Indian, but don't have a systematic racism where they were making it. They kept going and going and going and going and going. That whole BLM was a scam, and
they misappropriated allegedly millions of dollars in funds, and the money wasn't going where I think most people who were donating thought it was going to go. And there were people who were acting out, whether they were part of the movement or not, they were acting out in the name of the movement or at events that the movement was holding, and burning and looting and destroying. And so I think that was the other thing that Kelly was reacting to, was like, well, why doesn't anyone care about this? Why is this okay? Because everyone kind of said, well, it's just a fringe element. It's just a small group of people. Well, they're burning down our cities.
They're breaking into Neiman Marcus.
Can we just put a stop to this?
Yeah.
You can do a peaceful protest, but don't tolerate this kind of behavior.
And it made
out of control.
Painted me out to look
look at crime now. Like this whole idea of let's just give everyone a break from now on is leading to, where they're not enforcing laws, and people are stealing with impunity. The crime rate is going up in almost every major city, and we saw that happening. When you say, okay, go ahead and do whatever you want, what do you think is going to happen? When you say, oh, defund the police, we don't want the police to get out of their cars anymore, what do you think is going to happen? People know they're not going to get punished. They're going to go steal stuff.
And not that all cops are good. I mean, there's always a bad apple in the mix. You know what I mean? Like what that guy did to George Floyd was horrible.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can go and break into shops and steal
anything
what they
you
want.
want.
That's like anarchy.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Okay, and I want to, since we're talking about Real Housewives of Orange County too, and obviously some of your beliefs and the things that you said, you think that could be potentially why you feel canceled, right?
Yeah.
But now we have, I believe she's one of your friends, Tamra Judge, who's returning to the show.
Mm-hmm.
First, what do you think about that?
I think it's a smart move.
Okay, bringing Tamra back.
I do. I think it's a smart move. But if you're gonna bring Tamra back, you should bring me and Vicky back.
Right.
Because I mean, the ratings were high when the three of us.
They all
on.
have strong followings. They all know. They're all good on TV. They're all good on the show. They know. I mean, they're more real than any of the women who are on there now.
Trying to reproduce the storyline.
The thing of it is too, and I'm not going to name names, but that I'm friends with on the show. They have only production company now. So MGM bought Evolution, so they got their own people in there. So it's all. What I loved about being on this show, it was that you knew the camera people. You were family with them, and you worked with them all the time. And it was always the same people. It's all new people now. So they, the people that are on the show, they're like, it's like going to a new job. It's weird. Like it's just weird. Like it's not the same kind of element of. It's more like a job.
Right.
So they're going into
they're clocking in.
They're clocking in, clocking out, and that's it. It's not like it's real.
Right. Right.
And I can't name names, but that's what's happening now. And you don't think that's going to play out for the season?
Well, that's the thing is, especially after everybody was stuck in their houses for so long, and they're sitting there watching reality TV. The fans got really smart, and they started dissecting things, and they see, like, for example, Noella, who was on only for one season, she came on like she was very orchestrated, like she's
like Bronwyn
reproducing these storylines.
Bronwyn was that way.
Yeah, and so the fans will read through that. But since you brought up Vicky, you did announce that you were starting a podcast with her. Are we still doing that?
We don't know. She travels a lot. She really wants to do it, but
it's hard to pin her down.
She's
in Mexico all the time.
Yeah.
She has a place there.
Puerto Vallarta.
So we're trying to figure out, the two of them sitting together is what we want to do.
But she's not
Zoom
here.
calls, it's not going to have the same flavor.
Yeah,
so
the Zoom call. Like Teddy and Tamara do the Zoom calls.
The two teas in a pod.
I don't want to watch that because I like something that's like this together. You know what I mean? I just, I don't like when Andy Cohen had his reunion with the four squares. It just doesn't have the oomph.
Right.
As, and I don't think, and I'm not discounting Teddy, Two Teas in a Pie. I think it's great. I just don't want to watch that. I'll listen to it, but I don't want to watch it. You know what I mean?
Well, and to that point too, when we first spoke about, doing this interview in the first place, I live on the other side of the United States, right? And I was like, no, this has to be, I knew there were going to be some moments in this conversation. I'm like, we have to do this in person because I feel the same way. I think that the Zoom calls don't have the same effect.
Right.
But if you did do a podcast, unless you don't want to give too much away, if you did do a podcast with Vicky, Tamra spoke about on Two Teas in a Pod. She's like, I don't know what the concept would be, but
well, it wouldn't be just Housewives. Okay, so Rick and I do. So if it was, we talked about this, Vicky and I.
Right.
And Tamra and Teddy, all they talk about is reality TV, and that's what Vicky said. I don't want to sit down and spend all my time watching TV and then reporting on it. I just don't want that. So what we would do is we would probably do fun facts. We would do fashion. We would do cooking.
Oh, like lifestyle.
Things, lifestyle stuff.
Right.
How to turn your IRA into, being a moneymaker for you. Or, like financial things, insurance questions.
And so the two of them have a great dynamic together. And they did an interview on our show, the Rick and Kelly show, and it got us a lot of subscribers because people want to see those two together, and they miss her on TV. So
she's just really funny, and Vicky's just she's just a really funny person. She doesn't have like Vicky, like Tamara goes, she always just says something rude all the time. I'm like, you say things that are rude, Tamara. Like, she was like, I don't know what they have to talk about. What do you mean? Have you ever listened to Rick? And like, we don't just do recaps on Beverly Hills. People ask me to do them.
Right.
Like, people want me to recap it. And then the people get mad if I don't say a certain thing. Like,
going back to, I want to talk about Heather Dubrow really quick because I believe you went on and said that Emily texted you about Heather pushing one of the producers
Mhm.
or the cameraman,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. I
So,
showed the text.
So we still are trying to figure out, because Heather swears that never happened. Do you still believe that it did?
Well, Emily told me it did, but Emily said she didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Thomas Kelly calls me, and he tells me and Shannon and Tamara that happened.
Okay.
Okay?
That she shoved him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that she shoved him.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you could see her putting her hand on the camera lens. That
But they didn't
showed.
get the other step of them like freaking out.
Right.
She did
Clearly,
turn
she
that.
was pissed off,
Right.
and she was lashing out at people around her, and she was trying to shut it all down. Cameras down? Who says cameras down? Who thinks they have the control over
Bravo.
what housewife?
She does.
But
She did not
have
want to
you-
film it. And then I said to Tamara, I go, she was like, yeah, I would love for you to come to one of my parties. She was, but Heather would get up and turn and walk away. And she's chicken shit, you know? Like, I would never do that. I
Right.
wouldn't go and even give any of my time for free to Bravo. I just wouldn't do that. Everyone wants me to be on that show to confront her. Like, everybody wants that. Like, but
Bravo was smart. They would bring her back because she would be the perfect foil. She would
Maybe you're just
bring
on
eyeballs.
pause.
oh no, I think they hate me.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know what?
No, I think they hate
there are
me.
enough people who want you back.
And you know what? Honestly, it's funny. All my coworkers and everybody from around all of them, they're like, it's like an icky feeling to get back because it's like you're constantly on guard. You're playing chess. It's not
The same.
it's not a good feeling being on these shows. It's
Right.
not fun. It's
Well, a lot of people say, I think it was even Phaedra Parks who said that it's it can be like traumatic.
traumatic.
And, like gives you like PTSD.
It
and
does.
triggering and
Yeah.
you know, I did want to also bring this up too because again on social media you were fined because you posted a photo in a Drunk Wives Matter hat, right?
Mhm.
But I had one of my subscribers ask, you were fined for $16,000 for
Mhm.
wearing this hat, while Lisa Rinna is out here claiming that one of her castmates is a homophobic, narcissistic racist. And I know you can't compare the two, but my point is I know for a fact when you are a contracted housewife, you have to be a certain way on social media. You can't say whatever you want.
I never got that on my contract.
No?
No.
So I know I've had conversations with some of the Salt Lake City housewives, and they're allowed to talk about the shows, but I was under the impression.
Well,
they
no,
were
it's
supposed to-
fighting. It's fighting amongst each other.
Right.
They don't want that.
Okay.
So they don't have it in there. I asked them. I said, well, I mean, I caused them. It wasn't just the Drunk Wives Matter. That was the hugest. That's when they went like crazy on me because someone gave me a Drunk Wives Matter hat, and they called me hysterical. Like I was going to be fired right then and there. That I caused such an uproar because they put so much stock into this, like
agenda. She was at her wedding shower, and she had all kinds of gifts, and one of them was a hat. She put it on. She posed it. It was a joke. It was satire. It's Drunk Wives Matter. She's on the Housewives, and she's drunk all the time. Like the fact that people went nuts over that. It's just like it's ridiculous. Okay.
Do you think there's double standards for some of the Bravo talent?
Of course.
Okay.
Don't you?
I mean,
Well, but
Listen,
we don't
right?
know if Rinna was fined. She might have been fined for saying that and doing that. She might have gotten a fine for $16,000 or $25,000. We don't know.
she might be fired after this season.
Or may quit. She might just
Or
be done with it.
She might quit. All right.
I doubt it. She wouldn't quit. She's making over like $1 million or $800,000 a year. Why would she quit for working 6 months out of the year?
So
You don't quit these jobs.
No.
because
It's like
easy money.
being a stripper or a prostitute. It's easy money. It's like
Wait, what? How do you know?
I don't know. I've never been, but if I ever had if I had the body,
Oh, you do.
no.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to, because I know that we're very busy and we have other stuff going on today. So I'm going to do a lightning round with you really quick and
Okay.
just get your opinion. Just super fast for you.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
Do you think that you were let go in order to bring Heather Dubrow back on?
Yes,
What would you say that the most misunderstood thing is about you?
that I'm heartless.
Okay. Since Taylor Armstrong crossed over to the Real Housewives of Orange County, if you could appear on another franchise, which one would it be?
New York.
Okay. Who are your top 3 favorite housewives?
Ramona, Shannon, and Vicky.
If you could bring back anybody aside from yourself to the Real Housewives of Orange County, who would it be?
Vicky.
Who are your least favorite housewives? 3 least favorite.
Bronwyn, number 1. Peggy Solehan, number 2. And Heather Dubrow. Well, Heather Dubrow would be number 1.
I was just gonna
Heather
say.
Dubrow. Well, Heather Dubrow would be number 1.
And
Bronwyn would be number 2.
Yeah,
And 3 would be Peggy Solehan.
but it's pretty close, I think.
Yeah.
Biggest housewife you've ever met?
The fakest?
Yeah.
Heather Dubrow.
Heather Dubrow. Okay. How would you say that your life is different from leaving the Real Housewives?
It's calmer.
Okay.
It's I feel like my life is, well, I get to travel more. I get to do more things. I get to focus more on like building things, like doing things, our house and projects and things like that.
You still keep busy.
And I get to like work for myself.
Right.
Like I love that. Even though I'm starting off like slowly.
Well, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I have to start somewhere. It's really nice to like not have people like, oh, you're doing this wrong or you're doing that wrong, or you can't post that or you can't do that. Having Big Brother on top of you, like telling you,
Yeah.
it's freeing. I feel like I'm more free.
Yeah.
If you were asked to return to the show, would you?
It depends on how much money I would be making.
Would you be open to that?
I would, but again, it also depends on how well we're doing away from the show. Because
Right.
our business is building, and in a year, we could be in a position where we don't need to do anything else. And that's sort of our goal.
And
You
by
could
the
be making
way,
more than
yeah,
you do on the Housewives.
right. If I was making more than the Housewives, there's absolutely no way I would do the show again.
They laughed at Denise Richards, and she's like, "Let me join OnlyFans. I'm making more than all of you now."
Yeah,
So
it's true.
Okay. So for you, this was another question that I got from a subscriber.
Okay.
How do you reconcile the nature and extent of Bravo's support for housewives with actual felony convictions being able to stay on the show as compared to you being fired? How much do you think public opinion versus favoritism plays into that decision?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. You have smart.
But you talk
Viewers.
about that all the time, about how all these women have criminal convictions or criminal charges, and they're still on the show.
Well, that's because Bravo is a business. They don't care. You think they care about any of us? They don't. And they're exploiting. This is what it is. It's exploit, and it drives ratings. They're a business, and when you don't have their agenda or you're not on board, they cancel you or they fire you because they don't like what you have to say. I don't know why. I mean, I thought we were in America. I thought we were allowed to share opinions and share thoughts, and it didn't have to be one way or another. Like, that's what I thought it was like.
I think that they keep controversial figures on as long as they possibly can, as they feel they can, in order to drive ratings.
Okay.
And certain things, in their opinion, I guess, are less egregious than others. What Kelly said in their mind was they couldn't keep her on the show. But someone who's been accused of something but not convicted, they could always say, well, it's just a charge right now. They're not convicted. Let's wait and let's let the legal process.
Well,
play
Teresa
out.
Giudice ended up spending time in prison, so she was convicted technically.
Yeah.
Right, she was. Well, she lied.
They kept her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So certain crimes apparently are okay.
Right.
Right.
But certain words are not.
Yeah. Words are not.
Do you personally think that you're one of Andy Cohen's least favorite housewives?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You think he likes you, but he's afraid to say he likes you?
Yeah, I do. I think so because he'll call me or he'll text me and
He sent a nice card.
he
We
sent
him
he
baby gifts.
sent me a nice card, and I don't really think, and when he was coming after me hard, I think he felt that pressure from Bravo.
Right.
Because he doesn't work for Bravo. He's his own independent contractor. But he guess he does work for Bravo, but
I agree with you that he felt pressure.
He felt pressure. He goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
They were giving a small group a lot of weight, and that group was very vocal about Kelly. So I think
that Bravo historian, that whack job. I was with Emily, who voted for Trump. I never voted for Trump, but Emily did. She's on the show still, but she just keeps quiet. Her and her girlfriend went like this, and that Bravo historian, Samantha Bush, she attacked me. She came after me. She wanted to cancel me. Andy Cohen had her on the show. I'm like, what is this? It was weird.
It was a group
All
photo,
about
and it
the
wasn't even her
tea.
friend.
All about the tea. They came after my daughter. They. I mean, if you read All About the Tea, Bravo had, and I would call them like, I'm going to sue them. They would call them, say, hey, they have them. Bravo has All About the Tea.
The highlights
Highlights,
posts
that they put in, like they give them weight. I'm like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of strange. Like, do they have these group of people that this small little minute group that they listen to? Because there's so many people that think like I do that obviously the ratings are down in the tankers, but they pay so much attention to these weirdos.
There was a much larger group who were upset enough about Kelly being taken off the show that they stopped watching than the size of the group that was claiming there was a boycott and they weren't going to watch because she was on the show. The numbers went down when she left. What does that tell you? People were watching for Kelly.
You're saying listen to the numbers.
Listen to the numbers. Numbers don't lie.
All right, so I like to end off on a positive note, and we have a lot going on. We have the Rick and Kelly show. We apparently have pickleball pool party.
No, pickleball party town.
Yes, party town.
Party town.
And we're building, our house in Palm Desert. We have a lot going on, and I like to end on a positive note. So, when it comes to Erica Girardi on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, do you think that she had any idea of what her husband was doing?
She's not dumb. I think she knew.
You think she knew?
Mm-hmm.
That was my own question.
I just don't think she paid attention to it. I think she knew that they set up this company and all this money was funneling. I mean, she's not an idiot. Like, she's not stupid.
Well, can I weigh in?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe she knew or wanted to know where the money was coming from. All she cared about was that she was getting the money. I don't know that she knew the minutia of the inner workings of Girardi Keese, and she knew that he was diverting funds allegedly from accident victims and spending it on his wife. But I don't think she wanted to know.
Right.
What bothers me about her behavior now is that she's not willing to sympathize or do real things to make it right. She keeps saying, let's
all I care about is money.
Let's let the judge decide.
Let's let the judge decide on what's going
I think
on
I heard you
here.
covering this when I first arrived with everybody.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah, you're just okay.
Yeah,
All right.
let's go.
So
Let's go.
now, obviously,
All
this is
I care
positive
about
note.
is money.
I mean, listen. At this point, well, I feel like we covered so much, and this it did not let me down as
Good.
far as like a conversation that I.
It was worth the trip? Is that what you're
It was
saying?
worth the
You came
trip.
all the way over here. We're going to
Now-
take you to the Quiet Woman tonight.
Now we're going to the Quiet Woman. So, Rick, Kelly,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you came out here.
Yes.
Excited to see Orange
Yeah.
County.
The first time we talked, you're like, "Who is this up and Adam? I heard he's a liberal whack job."
Well, people told us, people warned us about
My
you. That you were gonna
mom
come,
watches
and you've been
you.
criticizing her and coming after her.
You're coming after me, saying I'm the wicked stepmom, and I get where you came from.
Right.
However,
I didn't say wicked stepmom, but
yeah, okay, it was something along those lines.
I was questioning. Yeah.
Yeah, that I had a stepmom that, first of all, his daughter's 32 years old.
Right.
Okay, she's an adult. I already had Julie by then. I've already owned like 4 houses by the time I was in my 30s.
Right.
At that age. You're not a kid.
Right.
Okay? Like, and I want to turn out and say, I think it would be nice if Veronica reached out to us and try to have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
Like
Positive.
a positive conversation. I mean, she's going to have kids pretty soon, I hope. And he wants to be a part of his, grandchild's
Of
life,
course.
And I'm sure after this too, I'm sure she's going to see this. So we're rooting for it. We're rooting
Okay.
for the
Thank
family
you.
to come
Yeah.
back
Thank
together. This was a great conversation. And again, thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Thank you, Adam.